Hello again, my crafty friends. Welcome to my project. Today we're going to make a Christmas gnome out of this Unique in the Creek triangle board. And I have a hat extension out of this plastic, and I have a plastic coated wire that I'm going to go ahead and glue down so this will be ready when we're ready to start our project. So I'm going to go over the rest of the materials here that you're going to need. You will need some white fabric. I like to use this white fleece. You'll need a half a 3-inch styrofoam ball, a pipe cleaner, and I like to use a couple of these jewelry pins. I like to get these off of Amazon. They're a lot smaller than U-pins, but you do have to be careful because the ends are very sharp, sharper than your standard stick pin. Some of the other materials that we're going to need are some zip ties that are 6 to 8 inches long and 18-pound weight. As we get these put in, I'll tell you the exact number of zip ties that we'll need, but here's a sample of what they look like. You will also need chunky yarn, and I got this plain white, I believe at Walmart, for around $10 a roll. You will also need your choice of fabrics, and for this project I chose a plain velvety black and this red and black plaid. I think this is going to look really nice together, and that's basically it. Next, I'll show you how to cover your styrofoam ball to make the nose. And I've marked here where the pipe cleaner is going to go, and you just fold it in half and it'll go right there. Want to make sure that you have plenty to cover both ends all the way around. And I like to cut this kind of in the round shape so I don't have as much extra on top, or in this case it'll be underneath the nose. So I just fold it in fourths and cut, which ends up being a little bit more of a oblong, but that's okay. This is going to work. At this point, I would recommend go ahead and putting your pipe cleaner in and then putting your fabric around. You'll add some extra support to the pipe cleaner to stay there, but because the fabric is easily moldable, you just add your glue along the edge and just fold your fabric and pinch it when you need to. I would recommend that you cut off all the excess as you go. This did end up being a little bit too bulky in the end, and I had to use a little bit of extra glue to get it to stay where I wanted it to. So just continue all the way around and pull it to be tight. You don't have to add any slits in this because all the folds go on the back and you won't really see those. That's one reason why I'd like to use this fleece type fabric. And once you're finished putting all of that, again, cut off any excess. And you can kind of see here, there's quite a bit of excess on the bottom or the back side. And I would have cut more of that off. So next we're going to put our pipe cleaner on. So I'm just going to add some glue to that folded about 1-inch section and put that in about the spot that I had marked previously. And then I like to add a couple of those little jewelry pins to help secure it. and I get those in, and then I end up using my little rubber finger protector to push this down. The scissors didn't work so well. So get those pins pushed down all the way, and then I go back in and add a little bit of extra glue on the top of there to make sure that that stays. Next, we're going to use the white chunky yarn that I got from Walmart. And I'm going to use my Measure Buddy to help measure 10 inches, 12 inches, and 14-inch lengths that are doubled to make the beard for our gnome. So the Measure Buddy, I can measure all these different lengths with the one tool, and it makes it really convenient to do that. So next I have to find the end of the yarn, which can be a little bit tricky, but luckily this one was pretty easy. It was just sticking in the end there. So I just take the end of the yarn and put it underneath the tab to hold, and just wrap it around as many times as you need to. Again, the inches are 10 inches, 12 inches, and 14 inches. And I'll get back to you on how many of each of those you need. So when you're done wrapping and you cut off your end, then you just slip the scissors. There's a little ledge piece that your scissors can slide in there, and then cut one or both edges. This project, we leave them doubled, and I keep them in order. So I'm going to show you where the nose goes, right here in the middle of row 4. And that row will be the last row for the zip ties to hold the yarn. And then the hat will go above that, and all the yarn below. So I will show you next how to put the zip ties in. If you're unfamiliar, this is how you do it. So I turn the board over to the back and put the end and the head of the zip tie into the two combine or pair holes. And once you get them all in, then you're going to turn it over and you're going to close all of your zip ties. Closing them at this point makes your project a little bit easier when you go to put your yarn in. Next, we're going to put our yarn in. The 10 inches goes on the outside on both sides, 12 inches next, and then your 14 inches. I do end up adding some extra zip ties on the top row, going both every paired hole and every shared hole. So the top row ends up being a solid line of white. You can kind of see there, I showed you, and you can see between the other pieces as you're putting them in, you end up seeing the board in between them. And underneath the top row, that's fine, but that top row we need to be filled in all the way. So put your yarn in, pull it tight, and make sure to cut off all of your zip tie tails. You'll end up finding them if you forget any. I do end up going back and giving the beard a little bit of a haircut. So here's what it looks like when you get all your pieces put in, and you see that that top row is all the way solid across. And here's what I have left. Here I show that I'm painting the nose, and I made kind of a peach color using brown and pink. So I have cut a piece of the fabric big enough to cover for the hat, and I'm going to show you how to finish the edge. I'm just running a bead of glue along that bottom edge and folding that over all the way. This is going to be the bottom edge of the hat. So we want that to kind of be finished. I will show you next how to make the spiky rim of the hat using the black and red plaid and the black that we will glue together to end up making the hat. So here I have the black and the red and black cut about 3 inches to 4 inches wide enough to go across the board. And here I'm showing you the pattern that I created and how to cut it. I would have left a little bit extra, more than I did here, and make sure that you have about 2 inches of the black on the bottom. I only used about 4 of the spikes in the hat. So here I'm showing you how to add your pipe cleaners on the inside of the hat. I would have pulled the pipe cleaners down a little bit more, leaving about a 1/2 inch of the black, so we can fold the black over, covering all of the yellow. And you would want to do that with the red and black also. Finishing your edges before you glue them together would have worked than the original way I tried to do this. But that's why you do things, to learn. So I lost the footage where I showed you how to put in the nose and put the spikes to the plain red and black. But that's pretty easy. You just glue it together. Now here I'm showing you, you want about 2 inches of the fabric wrapped around the sides and gluing those together. And I did use plastic garbage bags, you know, the ones that you get from the grocery store, to stuff in and use to fill the hat. Here I show the hat finished, almost. I just have the curve to do. When you do this part, you don't need too many of the bags to fill that, because it gets less and less filled as it goes up, kind of giving it that 3D look. So here I'm just trimming the fabric, leave about an inch and a half of the red and black fabric to fold over. And anywhere that you've got a curve, you're going to end up doing a little slit all the way to the plastic. That'll help the fabric curve to be where it needs to be. So here I'm showing you how to curl those spikes. And I know it's a little bit out of view, but you'll get the idea of what it looks like here in a minute when I turn it around. And because we put the pipe cleaners in, it makes it easy to shape. Remember, the pipe cleaners go up and down the spike and down the middle so you can shape it. So here I'm making sure to glue down the hat. And I'm putting on some little red styrofoam balls on each of the spikes. What I didn't show you is how to add a little bit of greenery and a little bow that I put on the top of the hat. You can decorate it as you wish or leave it just like this. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you again soon.